Okay, rap music is a multi-billion-dollar industry,
Yes, it is.
but it also creates a bitter taste for many people.
Oh, who are these people?
You tell me. I'm going by what I hear on the street, what I hear being voiced in all over the place, in certain areas. Okay, not everyone likes rap music.
No, that's true. But in a similar way, not everyone likes dance music. Not everyone likes rock music. So, fortunately, the country that I live in...
Can I finish the
Yeah.
question? Does rap music get a raw deal, or is the criticism justified?
It's kind of ironic that right now in 2019, and for many years previously, the number one genre of music on this planet right now is hip-hop music, rap culture. America being the largest financial, cultural influence place in the world, and they speak English, rap music has been the top of the Billboard charts going back to before Biggie Smalls days, you know. So I'm thinking that if the masses are the people who stream the music, who purchase the music, who download the music, who buy the tickets to see the rappers at the gigs and the concerts, and it happens to be the number one genre, and Times and Forbes magazines are stating how rich these individuals have been from the culture, I'm thinking perhaps it isn't that unpopular. I can understand...
Oh no, it's not unpopular by any means.
I understand that it might rub some people the wrong way if they, because of the profanity language they might use, or the subject matter that they might reiterate in regards to what makes them unhappy.
It's like modern punk, isn't it?
It's message music, and if you are part of the aristocracy or the people in power who might not like being told off or being told so by a huge sway of a community, I can understand why you might have some aspect of unfavorableness towards that culture. But in regards to where I am now and how I've seen it grow, I've seen it become way more popular, and the people who might have been objecting against it now being rewarded with some kind of financial gain. It's funny how they become less objective against that said culture. It makes money.
Can you give us a breakdown of the different types of urban genres? Basically, what is the difference between drill and grime and any other new forms of hip-hop?
Okay. Well, hip-hop, the phrase is still American, because 1520 took place, Cool Herc, August 11th, as seen as the conception of the culture, which is 46 years old now. From that, there's been derivatives, because the American population does speak English. And you have to remember that in the 70s and 80s, a large Caribbean immigrant population was in New York when this had happened. The UK, who did not have the luxury of a large population of black and coloured people to help drive the economy of UK rap music, they embodied and adopted many different methods of let's copy American rap with an American accent. Then it changed to let's do rap music with American beats with an English accent. In the last 20 years, we've seen the dance music element of rap music from grime, which is 140 BPM tempo type music, which was derived from UK garage, which is equally as fast. In America, the whole drill music in Chicago in like the late noughties with your Chief Keefs. It was very much a dark, underground, violent, street orientated, talking about what's going on with the trapping, the drugs.
What's trap?
Trapping is drug dealing.
Okay.
So street music, the roadman them in the UK, they're rhyming about how they survive, what is their economy. For a large proportion of the populace who, for whatever reasons, could not find honest employment, have been forced still to feed.
So you said forced, so you're saying it's difficult for them to find their jobs.
So you have to have some kind of economic income
Yeah,
to support the family, to pay the rent. to put food on the table. And if that has come from narcotics or the selling of drugs.
Yeah, but a lot of people kind of, you know, a lot of people, I mean, when I say a lot of people, forgive me, but what I'm trying to say is what I've heard, the consensus is that these young kids are lazy. They've chosen that option because it's easier than actually going to work and making a difference. You know, so it's long, rather than it be the fact that these kids are very talented and they chose that because they were talented, it's more about, okay, this is easier to rap than actually go out and work.
But they see the rapping in the studios, getting the mixtapes, doing the promotions, it's work. So depending on, if you look back in history, people like Jay-Z, who's a billionaire now, would have had no different experience as these young trappers.
So they're young entrepreneurs.
I see them as young entrepreneurs.
Yeah, okay.
So if you can
give them very little, obviously give them very, sorry to interrupt there, but give them very little options, that's the path they're taking because society hasn't afforded them
another avenue of employment in the city,
you know,
in the civil service.
I'm asking these questions, you know, it's not almost as if I don't know the answers to them. But the reality is I've experienced, I've seen it, I've worked with young kids, you know, I have an experience of this stuff. So for me, I know the journey hasn't been easy for them. Sadly, this is where we are with it all. But by all means, forgive me, I'm asking this question that way like I'm dumb and stupid, but the reality is
you're aware.
Yeah, I'm very much aware.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see and have it corroborated, or at least understood differently, so that, you know, the public viewers can get a better insight into someone who's been there, who's lived through it, who's generationally watched these changes, and also seen how things have got worse rather than better in some respects.
Yes. In certain respects, they have got worse than better, but in other respects, because of technology, the message, the audience of which a young rapper, MC, would like to reach in a modern climate has multiplied quintessentially compared to only 20 years ago. By and large, due to the technology known as the internet. So if from a business model, a young artist might be involved in drill or trap and rap honestly about what he or she sees in front of them and the financial avenues and opportunities they undertake to feed their family and support their business as an artist and produce their clothing and their branding and their mixtapes and pay for the relevant blogs online and social media, and eventually they can get some kind of tour supporting a major act and eventually get a record popping on radio, which might lead to a record deal which legitimizes them in society. You go with that business enterprise.
Okay. So it's a path to basically legitimacy, as you say?
Yes.
So
it can be seen as
they wouldn't otherwise have chosen it if there was another option.
I mean, I'm not behind all of these individual choices, but I am aware that in the rap culture, that has been an avenue via which many an artist has taken to basically be heard and get their product, their brand, their movement.
Yeah, so I'm just thinking, because if you basically sell drugs, clearly you're going to have people that want to sell their drugs cheaper than you. You're going to have competition.
Yes, you will.
Issues. It's an illegal. You're saying something. You're doing something illegal.
Yes,
that's going to create in itself its own kind of aggression and force, which is not going to be positive.
Which is reflected in the honesty of the music, because as an artist, as an indie artist, as a dance music artist, as a songwriter, as a rapper, you can only reflect and be creative about what's in front of you, your influences, what you see. So I completely understand why, as a reflection of what you just said, why that might be apparent in the lyrics of some of these artists in the culture.
Okay.
But that is just one element of what would be the wide umbrella of hip-hop culture.
Okay, fantastic.
Music for life.
I often see videos of 90s hip-hop stars dogging the current crop of rappers. Why the animosity?
Some
You know what I'm talking about? You know the new rappers and the...
Some might say it's ageist. Look, if you look at the history of rap music, as I said, that in the early conception of the culture, they were rapping on soul records, on boogie records, and disco records, with guys that had jerrycos and long collars and flares. So I can understand that the old guard might think it's a bastardization of the music. So I don't know, if you're in the 70s and there's 5 or 6 guys in a room on keys, on guitar, on bass, instruments, and then technology has helped the rappers of the 90s just with some kind of sampler reproduce what all you cats was doing in a room, you might think, ha. I just think it's a generation gap. Obviously, if you look at black music culture from the doo-wop 50s era, the people who ran that scene, they weren't overly impressed and happy with the slack lyrics and the dancing of what rock and roll was bringing. At the end of the 50s and the 60s, it was disgusting. So you're always going to get that with the old guard, and in the soul, the 70s soul R&B, church, or because a lot of R&B came from church. You sang well in church. You got you got a fan base. You got recording deal. A lot of those people, they might not have liked the new direction of rhythm and blues, where with a rap chorus. From their point of view, it cheapens the art form in its purest form, but in a modern point of view, it pushes the art form to a new dimension. And hopefully, what's great and appealing to me musically, I love the fact that every couple of years or generations, it changes.
You know, it's, I don't understand what it's saying. I can tell you now, I love grooves. I love, I was in America. I felt it. I was like, wow, this is really strange. I know what they're saying. It's all kind of got this, vocoder stuff going on the vocal, but it still worked. It was different, and somehow the kids love it. They love it. So if it works, what can I say? You said it, you put it out there.
And you're putting the kids, because generationally, the kids of 2019.
Well, I still love it. So kids are no kids. I felt. You knew, I was like, what are they saying? And it intrigues you. You think, I want to know what they're saying, first and foremost. But I think that's the thing. I think the fact you don't understand what they're saying is what probably
all
makes
depends,
you feel
because depending on how engaged you are, I understand every single rapper in the world. And I'd like to believe that the majority of people who have made this genre and culture the #1 genre in the world, I'd swear to God, I'd like to think they're downloading and streaming and buying these records, because what's audible to them makes sense from what the MCs are saying. I'm sure people buy J. Cole and Jay-Z records because they know exactly what Stormzy's.
Some people, but some kids just sing along to the songs and don't know what they're saying. It's all about the grooves, it's about the music, it's about it's the beats. They have no idea what the words are saying. So from that perspective. Anyway, will there ever be another Tupac? You mentioned Dilla. Was it Dillinger? Jay Dillinger?
Oh, Jay Dilla. So Jay Dilla has been revered as one of the greatest beat makers, producers. So the late 90s, early noughties, that whole soul Aquarian sound of Erykah Badu, Common, James Poyser, De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest. He was very influential doing production for all of these people. Tupac is seen both as an artist and, quotation marks, a bit of a political activist. Obviously, his family being Panthers. Tupac.
His mother, wasn't she?
That's right.
Yeah.
And in the 90s, you have to remember that in 90s America, the #1 lane of rap music was West Coast. Early 90s, the whole Dr. Dre thing. And Tupac was affiliated with that. On top of that, he happened to be, at the time, one of the most visual black actors. Him, Will Smith. So, in regards to Tupac's legacy of him trying to be an advocate of, let me tell the world that a community is being fairly treated, we don't have as much privileges as other communities. That message hasn't stopped. J. Cole does that. Kendrick does that. That will continue doing. I don't know if we're going to have a voice like these rappers doing that, and that person also happens to be one of the hottest actors in Hollywood at the same time. So
what about Gambino?
I don't know.
With his America. No, Vicious America.
Yeah,
I did
but the catalogue and the legacy of what you'll need to have a catalogue of intense hits to satisfy the rap community, not just a one-off, as well as Tupac had a good few number of films that not just Black America embraced, but people embraced. When Juice came out in the 90s, it was the number one film for Black America.
Yeah, it was.
So so whatever the relevant actor of now happens to be affiliated with one of the hottest cliques of now and be equally a good rapper as an actor, then that's probably your next Tupac.
So you've got to be multi-talented, basically, pretty much everything.
But Tupac's message music
and he was very,
hasn't stopped because, as you can see, there's a plethora of artists after him who basically address issues of the community and the people. Common does that. Scarface does that. J. Cole definitely does that. Jay-Z does that. Nas does that. And Kendrick Lamar does that.
Common's kind of going down that route, isn't he?
Of becoming an actor. Very much so indeed.
Incredible actor he is.
Very much so indeed.
Yes, no. Yeah,
and you have to.
I want to step into his shoes. So you're saying potentially Common could be a follow-up to Tupac?
I mean, well, he's doing the same thing as Tupac, but in regards to the legacy and that's for the community to apportion on you. I mean, I haven't, in the last 20, 15 years, I haven't heard people say, Common's the new Tupac. It's Common's an individual by himself, and Pac is an individual by itself. But what I have to give props to is the culture of hip-hop, which allowed these acts to come from nowhere to become household names for Hollywood, to see them as viable because of their fan base to a certain ilk of community, by putting them in movies, knowing that that genre of people will go to the cinema.
Follow me now, holding me down, for good when you around. That's why I love you so. Follow me now, holding me down, for good when you around. That's why I love you so.